talk of war. In the heartland, the hard sell for attacking Iraq, but cabinet officials find themselves in the line of fire.
Are we willing to send troops in and finish this job?
And war games. If the U.S. does bomb one of Saddam's germ warfare factories, can the danger be contained? In depth tonight, a warning. Sport utility vehicles, more dangerous than you may think, even if you don't own one. How will future cars be safer? And home of the brave, unsung heroes until now. The women of World War II who fought to save the world.
From NBC News World Headquarters in New York, this is NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw.
Good evening. One of the first rules of politics and war is this. If you launch an attack, make sure you have your own people behind you. Tonight, the Clinton administration knows firsthand there's a good deal of doubt in America about plans to strike Saddam Hussein and Iraq. And Saddam Hussein knows that as well, for he was able to see it for himself when the Secretaries of State and Defense and President Clinton's National Security Advisor appeared at a town meeting on CNN. NBC's Andrea Mitchell begins our coverage tonight.
It was exactly what the White House did not expect. Sharp criticism of U.S. policy toward Iraq from Middle America.
Are we willing to send troops in and finish this job? Or are we going to do it half-assed and ask my grandson and some of these other grandsons to put their lives on the line?
What we are seeking to do is not to topple Saddam Hussein, not to destroy his country, but to do what the United Nations has said in its declarations.
The heckling started with the cabinet members' opening statements and did not let up.
We came here to listen, and we will, but I would appreciate the opportunity of making our statement.
The question I would like to ask is, how can these people sleep at night?
What we are doing is so that all of you can sleep at night.
The American administration has the might and the means to attack, but does it have the moral right?
The question is also, does Saddam Hussein have the moral right to use weapons of mass destruction, chemicals and biologicals?
While the hecklers were a small percentage of the audience, most of the questioners also opposed military action strongly.
I really am surprised that people feel that it is necessary to defend the rights of Saddam Hussein.
You're not answering my question, Madam Albright.
This had been a day scripted, the administration thought, down to the last soundbite. 3 top foreign policy advisors on the road to sell the administration's message.
Is it a harder sell because you can't promise that you'll either get Saddam Hussein or all his weapons?
I think it's always a harder sell than it was last time because he was occupying Kuwait.
And tomorrow's trip to Baghdad by UN Secretary General Kofi Annan could increase pressure for a diplomatic way out.
Obviously, this is not going to be an easy mission.
In Baghdad, 31 UN staff members started packing to leave today, but the UN said it's not a signal an attack is imminent. Tonight, Iraq says the town meeting held here shows a lack of consensus in the U.S. for military action. True or not, Baghdad was clearly enjoying a White House PR offensive that seemed to miss its target. Andrea Mitchell, NBC News, Columbus, Ohio.
Obviously, the impact of that town hall meeting went well beyond Ohio. It was watched around the world, and it was watched especially on Capitol Hill in Washington. NBC David Bloom tonight on the fallout from the confrontational afternoon in Columbus. David?
Tom, even some of the president's closest advisors acknowledge this was a fiasco, and the president's foreign policy team is taking the blame. The official line here is that this is just a clamorous democracy at work, but the White House knows the fallout is real. As the raucous town meeting came to an end,
We have a divided House.
The faxes started flying, Republicans calling it, among other things, an unmitigated disaster. Congressional critics, emboldened by the uproar in Ohio, say it proves the country is deeply divided.
I think a lot of people who have served our country are saying, if you're going to put troops in harm's way, if Americans are going to die, is it going to be worth it?
The deep divisions were quickly exploited by Iraq.
The United States
and played up on foreign newscasts.
She's already been heckled by anti-war protesters in the audience who drowned out what she was trying to say.
Only yesterday, the administration said it wanted the town hall meeting televised on CNN, in part because Saddam Hussein might be watching. If so, says the Brookings Institution's Richard Haas, it clearly backfired.
I would expect that sitting in his bunker, Saddam would have gotten the sense that this was quite a controversial issue here and then some, and it might actually make him more likely to be tough when UN Secretary General Kofi Annan comes a-visiting.
Trying to put the best face on all of this, one of the president's closest advisors said tonight, look, this is not public relations, this is public education. We want an honest and thorough discussion. But he quickly added, we would not have planned it like this. Tom?
Thanks, David. President Clinton and his military advisors have to deal with more than political fallout, of course. There's also the fallout from military strikes, and that's much more dangerous than political rhetoric. NBC's Jim Miklashevsky is covering that for us tonight. Jim?
Claiming they have nothing to hide, the Iraqis took foreign journalists on a tour of a Baghdad pharmaceutical factory today, a prime target for possible U.S. airstrikes. According to the Iraqi escorts, the factory produces animal vaccines. But it's plants like these, so-called dual-use facilities, that could also manufacture deadly biological agents for germ warfare weapons. Pentagon sources report for that reason, these plants top their target list. But there are several even more dangerous targets the U.S. may not strike. Why not? Intelligence sources tell NBC News the Iraqis appear to have moved chemical and biological stockpiles to several sites in southern Iraq, near the border with Kuwait, tempting targets for American air forces. But airstrikes against these bunkers could unleash a deadly plume that could threaten U.S. forces in Kuwait or innocent civilians in Iraq. Air Force General Chuck Horner led the U.S. air war during Desert Storm.
Any efforts to destroy targets, say biological or chemical warfare centers, are going to involve risk of fallout from the attack and must be undertaken with grave concern and planning.
But after the Gulf War, U.S. forces unknowingly blew up an Iraqi chemical weapons dump at Qamishli that spread a cloud of chemical fallout 150 miles over 100,000 American troops. Members of the Gulf War Illness Commission have sent President Clinton a letter asking him to consider that fact in his decision to order airstrikes against Iraq again.
The lesson of the previous Gulf conflict is pretty simple. Modern warfare doesn't end on the day that the battle is concluded. There are new weapons that can have health consequences later, and we've got to be sensitive to those.
But it's still likely that airstrikes would hit some of those biological weapons sites. Sources tell NBC News that before any military action, President Clinton would fully prepare the American people for the possibility of heavy civilian casualties. Jim Miklashevsky, NBC News, the Pentagon.
Still ahead tonight, NBC News in depth. A new government report about those popular sport utility vehicles inside or up against them on the road, why they can be so dangerous.
It is time to start rethinking the designs of future versions of sports utility vehicles and pickup trucks so that they are less hostile in collisions with cars.
America's love affair with the SUV. Does this relationship need some changes? Up next, the president's closest confidant goes before the Starr grand jury.
How much younger do you want to look? The choice is yours when you get rid of gray gradually with Grecian Formula 16. Just comb in this clear liquid, and day by day, Grecian Formula replaces gray with natural-looking color. So you decide exactly how much gray you want to lose. Stop and leave a little gray, or keep going till you lose all the gray. You decide with Gradual Grecian, now in a new hair-thickening formula for extra body, shine, and manageability.
Most cold medicines can raise your blood pressure. If you have high blood pressure, don't take chances. Get the facts from the American Heart Association. This message is brought to you by Coricidin HBP, cold medicine specially formulated for people with high blood pressure.
This town counts on me. No time to get slowed down by irregularity. My doctor suggested Metamucil, the only leading brand with 100% natural fiber.
Keeps me regular gently so I can keep up.
Metamucil, the doctor's natural choice for regularity. After his heart attack, Ed's doctor told him to exercise and take aspirin regularly. So he takes genuine Bayer aspirin to help prevent a second heart attack. But then there are those days when Ed's muscles ache and Ed could use extra strength Bayer. Nothing is stronger for pain. If you're on an aspirin regimen, you don't need Tylenol because doctors say you can take more aspirin for pain.
How are your legs?
Great. Race you home.
Bayer, powerful pain relief, and so much more.
Now to Washington, where the grand jury investigating the president's relationship with a White House intern heard from one of Mr. Clinton's closest advisors and one of his oldest friends. NBC's Claire Shipman joins us tonight with the latest on the testimony of Bruce Lindsay. Claire?
Well, Tom, that's right. Bruce Lindsay answered questions, he said, for almost 5 hours today. And so far, the White House has said it did not try to protect that testimony by invoking executive privilege. But we're told that that issue did come up in judges' chambers today in a very general discussion about future testimony. Now, Bruce Lindsay, as one of the president's oldest friends, may well know more about this matter than almost anyone. The White House does want to be able to protect parts of his testimony. They don't, for example, want him to have to answer questions about advice that he may have given the president on this matter. And so the president may at some point decide to invoke executive privilege. That could trigger a legal battle. But so far, Bruce Lindsay says he'll be back before the grand jury tomorrow.
Claire, give us the latest on the Paula Jones case. I know that the president's lawyer is trying to get that withdrawn from the docket altogether.
Well, that's really an automatic motion. But what is interesting about that motion they filed yesterday is that for the first time we have some public details, more details from Paula Jones' deposition, more graphic descriptions of that alleged encounter in the Arkansas hotel room in 1991. And perhaps more importantly, what it means is that Paula Jones' lawyers may well now decide in the course of the next few weeks in their response to make the president's deposition public, in which he answered questions about his relationship with Monica Lewinsky, Jennifer Flowers, and Paula Jones. White House advisors say tonight, though, they figure it's better to get some of that out now, bit by bit, than wait for all of it to pour out during the May trial.
Thanks very much, Claire Shipman, tonight at the White House. Up next, NBC News in Depth, danger on the road. Should cars, trucks, and sport utility vehicles be much safer? But first from CNBC, let's take a look at what happened on Wall Street today. The Dow extended its winning streak, closing above 8,400 for the first time ever. The NASDAQ up today as well. The bulls continue to run.
All over Italy, they share the same love. Parmigiano.
Parmigiano.
That's why the Olive Gardens created chicken Parmigiano like you've never seen. The aroma tells you something's different. But when you cut into it, you'll discover the real surprise. A feast of Italian cheeses. It's called new stuffed chicken Parmigiano. Enjoy it with our tricolor pasta and all the salad and breadsticks you'd like. It's stuffed chicken Parmigiano. It's only $9.95 and it's only at the Olive Garden.
Parmigiano. Great. Now, you know, the other thing we wanted to talk to you about was mutual funds that help minimize the capital gains taxes.
They don't exist, sweetheart.
Actually, index funds can do that.
Really?
Yeah. Some are designed to be more tax efficient. And given your long-term goals, it might be an option that makes sense for you.
I stand corrected.
So sit down. This is the one I was taking.
This is index funds here. It's a whole company.
Heart and soul, I fell in love with you.
Wouldn't it make sense to eat more of something that's hot and delicious that you know you love? Especially if you found out it was good for your heart. Well, soluble fiber from oatmeal as part of a heart-healthy diet can reduce the risk of heart disease, which means eating Quaker oatmeal could be one of the easiest ways there is to do your heart good. So wouldn't it make sense to have it more often?
You got me heart and soul.
Dateline Friday, a dead man found dangling at the end of a rope. This hard-boiled crime writer becomes the victim in his own mystery.
The guy I know would not have thrown himself out a window.
An elaborate suicide or the perfect murder?
He says that if these guys find out who I am and what I'm doing, he said they'll kill me.
Fiction becomes fact on the streets of Chicago. Dateline Friday at 8, 7 Central.
NBC News in Depth tonight. Alarming new government statistics about the vehicles Americans love to drive these days, the sport utility vehicles, the SUVs. Turns out they can be very risky inside and out. SUVs are popular in this country. Sales are booming. More than 2,400,000 last year. That's 300,000 more than the year before. But along with their growing popularity, a growing list of dangers. If you're in an SUV or if one hits your car, look out. We begin In Depth tonight with NBC's Robert Hager.
Big sport utility vehicles, pickups, and vans, a growing threat to safety on the highways, according to a new study for the government out today. And the Department of Transportation announced plans to deal with it. The study, analyzing 4 years of fatal accidents nationwide, finds that if you're driving a car hit from the side by a sport utility vehicle, you're 30 times more likely to be killed than the driver of the sport utility vehicle. Hit by a pickup, you're 25 times more likely to be killed than the pickup driver. Hit by a van, you're 13 times more likely to be killed. The government's man in charge of auto safety, Dr. Ricardo Martinez.
It shows a growing problem for us. We find that the light trucks and vans are growing in the fleet 4 times faster than the regular passenger cars. Clearly, we have to act now in order to keep this from becoming a bigger problem.
So the government today scheduled a summit of safety experts to meet on the problem near Detroit this June. Also announced a series of new crash tests starting this Friday to chart precisely how damage is inflicted so it can perhaps be prevented. Using one of the nation's most popular cars, a Honda Accord, will crash a Chevy S10 pickup into one Honda, a Ford Explorer into another, and a Dodge Caravan into a third Honda. Brian O'Neill speaks for auto insurers.
It is time to start rethinking the designs of future versions of sports utility vehicles and pickup trucks so that they are less hostile in collisions with cars.
And the government proposes other steps to begin dealing with yet another danger, the higher potential for sport utility vehicles to roll over in accidents. The government wants those required warning stickers in the cab telling of the possibility of rollover to be bigger and more noticeable. And then, to prevent occupants from being thrown out in the case of a rollover, wants to study the possibility of making this glass a lot stronger and making the door lock stronger as well. But preventing damage when one of these big vehicles hits a smaller car presents a much tougher design problem. Would involve lowering the height of sport utility vehicles and making their stiff front ends more collapsible. Steps that would be difficult, expensive, and might make the vehicles less desirable to buyers. But with more than 25 million of these vehicles on the road today, and their popularity continuing to grow, it's a problem safety officials say must be confronted to save lives. Robert Hager, NBC News, Washington.
And of course, government officials aren't the only ones concerned with safety on the road. The auto industry is working on new ways to make all vehicles safer and also smarter. We continue in depth tonight. Here's NBC's George Lewis.
We've come a long way since the 50s when automakers first started adding safety features like seat belts and padded dashboards. Today, automotive engineers are testing smart cars that can drive themselves. This experimental vehicle called NavLab 6 recently completed a 2,850-mile trip across country with computers at the controls most of the way. Humans only drove 50 miles, mostly in construction zones. Researchers claim that automated cars will help eliminate driver error.
90% of the crashes that occur because of driver errors. And when we have the system under automatic control, we no longer have driver errors.
But this sort of technology won't be available to consumers for at least 10 to 15 years. In the meantime, automakers are adding other high-tech safety features to cars at a time when surveys show that consumers are willing to pay extra for safety. Coming soon, smart airbags that will gauge the severity of a crash and regulate the inflation of the bag accordingly. The idea, reducing airbag injuries and deaths. Smart cruise control that uses automatic high-tech sensors to slow down the car when it gets too close to the vehicle ahead of it.
As consumers' expectations are increasing, they kind of expect the latest value for their money, and safety is becoming, an important part of the value equation.
According to the marketing research company J.D. Power and Associates, 59% of consumers want anti-lock brakes on their cars, 32% want smart airbags, 23% want daytime running lights, 18% electronic traction control, and 18% side impact airbags.
Make a right turn.
And the auto industry also predicts consumers will want the smart cars of the future. George Lewis, NBC News, Los Angeles.
More news when I come back, including the fiery crash of a costly military bomber, and later, our series, The Home of the Brave, fighting a world war from behind the front lines and putting it all in her own words.
Relief can't come fast enough when you have diarrhea.
We have a problem. We have a delay. Gonna miss our window.
Our guy needs Imodium AD.
You need something faster.
Faster?
Faster. Introducing Imodium Advanced with a new formula that adds a second medicine for more complete relief that's even faster than Imodium AD. Nothing works like new Imodium Advanced. Faster relief you can count on.
12-hour days. Endless nights. No weekends to call their own. This is the stuff young lions are made of. And no headache will limit their imagination. Because this is the Advil generation. The advanced medicine of Advil is freedom from headaches, just like that. Headaches to muscle aches. Advil relieves all kinds of pain. Advil simply lets people do what they love to do.
Healthcare isn't just about doctors and patients. It's about the tools that doctors and patients need.
Before he or she can begin to help her or him or them, they gotta have this, and this, and this, and this.
At Siemens, we make the tools that diagnose, that monitor, that treat, that help doctors help people all over the world.
So for this,
We're Siemens.
we can do that.
In clinical studies, a leading pain medicine significantly reduced minor arthritis pain, increasing range of motion and flexibility. You may be surprised. The medicine in these studies wasn't a pill. It was Bengay. And now, when you use ultra-strength Bengay for your aches and pains, you get the heating power of 3 pain relievers to help you feel better and move better. Ultra-strength Bengay, medicine for your moving parts.
None of the hotspots making news tonight. Kentucky, a B-1 bomber out of Dyes Air Force Base explodes near the town of Marion. Debris is scattered over farmland. All 4 crew members, who were on a routine training mission at the time, did manage to survive the crash. Northern California, Vice President Gore gets a close look at the flood damage left behind by weeks of heavy rains. Forecasters say more storms are waiting in the Pacific. Texas, just hours after she was sentenced to life in prison, Diane Zamora apparently wounded herself with a razor blade. Officials say the wound was superficial. She's now called a potential suicide. Yesterday, Zamora was found guilty of helping her ex-fiancé murder a romantic rival. When we come back, the home of the brave, a woman's place, saving lives, giving hope in the midst of that world war.
So listen, my wife says, I read you got to take calcium for your bones. And I say, don't I eat at Joe's? And she says, so? And I say, don't I get heartburn? And she says, so? And I say, don't I take Tums? And she says, so? So I say, Tums calcium. Get it?
Tums Calcium knocks out heartburn fast, then helps keep your bones stronger, longer. That's something you can't get from Atlanta Liquids aluminum and magnesium.
So I say,
Tums.
Grand cinnamon rolls from Pillsbury.
They're ready.
The most enormous, ooey gooey, luscious.
Should we wake the others?
Let them sleep.
Now with more cinnamon.
They're not just big, they're grand.
If you love the complete relief of NyQuil to get you through your nights, you'll love its non-drowsy daytime version called DayQuil to get you through your days. Vicks DayQuil, the non-drowsy stuffy head, sore throat, coughing fever so you can get through your day medicine.
Pizza Hut dares anyone to find a better pizza.
Oh, really?
Papa John just couldn't resist the challenge. He commissioned independent taste tests. Papa John's won big time. Maybe that's because our sauce is made with fresh-packed, vine-ripened tomatoes. Pizza Hut uses remanufactured paste.
Anybody can claim to make a better pizza, but it's you, the consumer, who've decided. Better ingredients, better pizza, Papa John.
Try our Papa's Choice. That's a large pizza with your choice of up to 5 toppings for just $9.99.
She battled breast cancer, but after surgery, her fight was just beginning, this time fighting the insurance company. Why won't they pay for reconstructive surgery? NBC Nightly News tomorrow.
Who is Linda Tripp, and why did she involve herself in the White House scandal? On The Big Show with Keith Olbermann tonight on MSNBC.
Tonight we continue our series, The Home of the Brave, recalling the stories of the men and women who saved the world more than 50 years ago. It's a fitting way, we think, to mark the countdown to the millennium. And although American men did get most of the attention and credit, American women were often at their side in the time of greatest need. Tonight, NBC's Ann Thompson.
The words of war.
He had pieces of shrapnel in his skull.
In a sentence, June Wandry can go from her home in Portage, Michigan to the battlefields of Europe, where she served as an Army nurse in World War II.
Bed 4, massive penetrating wounds of abdomen.
Words and images June forgot until she found her letters home, 40 years after she wrote them, all in a box saved by her mother.
I had forgotten the vast majority of material that was in it. I think you bury it.
Why did you feel compelled to join the Army?
I never thought about it. Really, I didn't. I just went.
Only 22, June served in North Africa, Italy, France, Germany, working in a field hospital following the front lines. A bedpan commando, one soldier called her. She made it the title of her book, a collection of her letters and diaries.
What were the living conditions like?
Rotten.
They had no heat, showers, or sleep. They ate sea rations and when they could, dry cleaned their uniforms in airplane fuel.
I don't know if we ever cleaned these. I think we just aired them.
Over 3 years, she endured malaria, hepatitis, pneumonia. She never complained.
They don't need some sour grapes hanging over them. They need somebody to cheer them up and to make them feel happy and to make them have hope.
There was one soldier who I believe described your smile as a field of sunflowers.
Yes, that's Sammy.
Sammy. June never learned his last name in the 3 days she took care of him. He haunts her still, she says, cracking jokes and singing, trying to survive chest and stomach wounds from a grenade.
Despite Sammy's desperate battle to live, he slipped away just as morning broke. It broke my heart. He was every young man that went over there was drafted or not drafted or volunteered to go that went over there, and his life was wasted.
Every nurse had a Sammy. In all, more than 70,000 nurses put on uniforms to save the men who fought to save the world.
I think they brought a lot of comfort to the soldier who was wounded. I think that was a big thing. They were going to be safe.
What June tried to forget, the letters remember. Words of war. How one generation sacrificed so the next might be saved. Ann Thompson, NBC News, Portage, Michigan.
June Wandry returned to Wisconsin after the war. She married, she moved to Michigan and raised a family, and she spends a lot of her time now sharing her letters and her memories at veterans reunions around the country. Tomorrow night, one of the deadliest battles of World War II, I'll bring you the story of 3 friends from the same town who lived to tell about it. The Home of the Brave tomorrow night. That's Nightly News for this Wednesday. I'm Tom Brokaw, and I'll see you back here tomorrow night.
NBC Nightly News is America's most watched evening news program.
Tomorrow on Today, the showdown with Saddam. Secretary of State Madeleine Albright on the latest diplomatic efforts. Will they work, or are we headed for war? Tomorrow on Today.
A Law and Order event. 3 episodes that earned Law and Order the Emmy for Best Drama on one night.
Look at what kind of monster your daughter's gonna marry. Go ahead, open it.
Prosecuting her killer is our responsibility.
3 episodes together on one incredible night of Law and Order, beginning 8/7 Central, NBC.